So in this last bubble, it says, take a look at the image below of the 5 hyperlinks that have been styled to look like buttons. Can you figure out what properties and values you will need to use to make the links look like this? So of note here, before they start, what they want and what they could do are two very different things. They could actually create these buttons as images, which is what a lot of people would probably actually do. You could then upload all the images and then link each one of those images like we saw in the previous learning bubble there. That's not what they're going for here, but that's another approach that they don't really talk about here. What they really want us to do is to make these links part of a class and then code the class, because as you can see there, there's a lot of stuff we already know how to do. We know how to make a picture frame around something. We know how to round the corners. We know how to set the color of those things. That's kind of what they're going for here, as opposed to coding images. So of note here, there's nothing wrong with any of the code here. These all work. So that's not what they're asking us to do. They're simply asking us to make each one of these look like these right here. So the directions up top tell me to find the CSS rule for the hyperlinks in your style sheet and then to add properties. So if we go to the style sheet and scroll to the bottom, you can see here that this actually does say a open curly brace. The closed curly brace has automatically been generated. So a is actually kind of already functioning as a class unto itself, kind of like paragraph used to. We don't actually have to declare it, which saves us a lot of time. So all these things that start with A, href, ahref, they're all going to get the attributes that I give it here in the style sheet. So now we just have to figure out what attributes I want here. So let's start with the picture frame. Okay, I know that means I need a border style here. And the border style is going to be solid. It sure looks like it's a solid line around there to me. And that's a little better. All right, the border color. It looks to be some shade of purple. When I click, it looks like medium purple might be the closest thing to what I see in the model up top there. It looks like the corners are rounded, so that would also make me think it has a border radius. I don't know how much radius, but it looks like it's got a radius, so let's add some radius, a number to that radius, and see what it looks like. 10 might be a little too much, so maybe we go a little bit smaller. Maybe 2 doesn't look to be like anything. Maybe 5 pixels. Okay, and we're starting to now see, okay, yes, this can start to look more like this here. Okay, so what other issues do we have? Well, it looks like there's some space around the text between the text and the actual box, which I don't have right now. There appears to be a background color. Those boxes are all a lighter shade of purple, and those are all white still. And then the text itself is different. As we can see, that's all still that blue underlined text, and the stuff that's up there is not. So that's all stuff we can experiment with. We don't have the exact answers here, so we're not sure we're ever going to land on top of it, but let's just keep coding and see how close we can come. So I'm going to add a background color. And so I'm going to go with that same kind of purple in that world. And I would prefer a lighter shade of purple even than that. All right, at least we're kind of in the ballpark. It's not perfect. Maybe if we flip these colors, this would be better. So let's flip these colors and see if it's any better. Again, we don't have the exact answers here, so we're kind of guessing what they want. And that looks a little bit more like what they have. Realize the text is a little difficult to read because we haven't styled the text yet. So when we make the text black, like the model. Hopefully that will be a little bit easier to read. So let's go ahead and do that. And indeed, changing the color to black did make that a little bit easier to read. Font style, maybe just a normal. And as we can see, the more I do, the more it's starting to look like the models up top. We're not going to keep doing this here because, again, we could kind of guess forever as to what they want. But that's kind of the idea here, is you're adding the code you already know to that A tag to make this look more like this. But realize, even though I'm doing that, each one of these things is still a functioning link. And because these are all A's on no matter which page they're on, all right, it doesn't matter if I switch to the elliptical page, because they're all linked to the same style sheet, they're all getting those same attributes. And that's what they're going for here in this final bubble.